You're listening to Lucid Cafe. I'm your host, Wendy Halley. Hello and welcome to another episode of Lucid Cafe. In today's episode, we explore the magic of writing and the power of telling your story. Well, since we're on the subject of writing, it seems fitting to let you know that I've got a new book coming out on May 27th that I'm excited about. Nervous because I have no idea if people will enjoy it. And excited because, man, I put a lot into this book, more than any book I've ever written before. And to see it in its final version, I got to admit it's kind of rewarding. It's called Raven's Daughter. The story is shamanic-flavored fantasy with a side of near-future sci-fi. My dear friend and partner in absurdity, Claire Wheeler, did me a kindness and recorded an episode with me to help me talk about my new book. That episode will be coming out in May. All right, enough about my book. Let's get back to today's episode, which is an invitation to the writer in you, whether that part of you is asleep, curious but reluctant, afraid, or a regular part of your life. My guest, Nancy Slonim Aronie, who, by the way, is one of my new favorite humans, wants you to know that writing is not an exclusive club, because everyone has a really good story to tell, and usually not just one. This conversation is very much a conversation, one that I enjoyed very much. I'm hoping that you do too. Nancy is the founder of the Chilmark Writing Workshop on Martha's Vineyard and the author of Memoir as Medicine and Writing from the Heart. She's a regular commentator for NPR's All Things Considered. Nancy has taught at Harvard University and conducted writing workshops and lectures at Kripalu, Omega, Esalen, the Rowe Conference Center, the Wainwright House, and the Open Center in New York City. So please enjoy my lively conversation with Nancy Slonim Aronie. Nancy, thank you so much for joining me.
Honored.
Okay, so do you consider yourself a writer by trade, or do you do other things?
Yes, I think I can consider myself a writer and a sort of a midwife for other people's writing. At least that's what I've been called, and I love it. But I've always done these little art things, and just little tiny little people and wires and beads. And about 8 months ago, a good friend of mine, beautiful artist who's in the best gallery on the island, came over and said, you should be in Granary Gallery. And I went, yeah, right. And she said, no, Nick, I'm really serious. So she took pictures and she brought it to this guy that, owns this really, really fine gallery. And he told her to tell me to call him, and I did. And he said, brings the stuff over. So my husband vacuumed the whole back of the Volvo, the ruggy part, black.
Mm-hmm.
And I put 15 of my pieces back there, and we drove over carefully and opened the trunk, and he looked in and he went, brilliant. I love this. Oh, I want that. I want that. How much is this, by the way? And I went, I don't know. He said, how much? And I said, I don't care. And you know what he said?
What did he say?
You have to care. It was such a revelation that he was making me respect these things. And I'm in that gallery. So
That's incredible.
it's so exciting because when I was young, really little kid, I was 8, my sister was 12, and I said, I'm going to be an artist. And she said, no, I'm going to be an artist. You have to be a writer. And I became a writer and she became an artist and she died a
Oh
couple of
my.
2 years ago. And I swear she said, "Okay, your turn."
It's now your turn. Okay. And how obedient you were.
Yeah, right. Like, why didn't I say fuck you? It hadn't come into my lexicon yet.
And how fortunate that that gallery owner said that to you. I mean,
Oh, it's just been it's such a thrill because it validated everything that first of all, what I tell people all the time is it doesn't matter what the art form is. Once you open the vein, it just let it take you where it's going to take you. And when you can't write, people talk about writer's block. I don't really think of it as writer's block. I just think, okay, switch art. Go get those little crayons and get some bumpy watercolor paper and put a swath of aqua marine on there and then smudge it with your hand and go, oh, I'm brilliant. And then
yes.
we'll get back to writing as soon as there's something to write about. But in the meantime, don't stop if there's just another form for you. So I got another form.
Yeah, I think that's brilliant. And I think it's a great suggestion for any of us, right? Interestingly, I mean, this is a little sidebar. I interviewed a woman recently who did research on social media, influencer culture, and reality TV on the developing brain.
Wow.
Yeah, it's fascinating. And she was talking about how our minds, our brains are changing in response to our exposure to social media, like how it's physiologically changing, and that our brain is more focused on the limbic system or the more primal parts of our brain that are more emotional and
Oh,
reactive.
that's good. That's good. I thought you were going to say it was more focused on product and selling and marketing and not creativity.
Well, that's where I was going. And she said the thing that's getting lost is not developing, especially in younger people, is critical thinking. And the relationship between creativity and critical thinking and the ability to just tap into that. If you're in that survival emotive mode all the time, it's hard to access your creativity.
Hmm. And the imagination is gone and you're being told what to do by influencers.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's why I think it's an extra great message that you just shared because it's vital. I mean, because we were so naturally creative when we were children. I mean, that's just how we operated. The world was filled with possibilities and magic, and then we get away from that.
It wasn't just influencer stuff. It was the third grade teacher who said you can't write that or draw that or trees have to be green or Aunt Sadie, or somebody that took away your freedom. Oh,
Exactly, right.
now trees have to be green. Okay, I get it. Thank you. I'll get an A
Okay.
now.
So maybe the title of this episode should be Fuck That. So back to your book. Well, we didn't even start talking about your book yet. Let me share what the title of it is. It's Seven Secrets to the Perfect Personal Essay, Crafting the Story Only You Can Write. So, why do you think it's important for people to explore essay writing?
Well, I think it's the most personal way of healing in when it comes to writing. Because number one, you find out what's stuck. You find out what you're repeating over and over and over again that you want to maybe start to transform. A lot of people say, "Oh my God, I never remembered that. I can't believe I just wrote that." And it's the most you of you. It's when you have your opinions validated on the page. It's not a treatise and it's not a journalistic piece. It's your gut, it's your heart, it's your soul writing. So it's the truth of you, and you can exaggerate, but it's your story. It's this is who I am. This is what happened to me. This is what I did with what happened to me. So that personal way of being able to get that stuff out on the page, I'm a big believer. And now it's been validated out in the medical world in your stories are marinating. Your sorrow is in your pancreas, it's in your liver, it's in your heart. And getting it out on the page is just a phenomenal way of letting stuff go. And yeah, you might have to write it. I've written one particular story probably 35, 45 times. It's still not healed. but every time I think I lighten the load. And that's one of the things, getting that personal essay, getting that story, getting an insight, a new way of looking at it. Like, oh my God, I never saw it that way. So it's healing.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And so, how would you, I know you've probably answered this question a million times, but how would you discern the difference between a general essay and a personal essay?
General essay probably is quoting other experts, it's informational, and then personal is completely your own story. And you can sneak your own story into a general essay, and you can do the opposite as well. You can put facts in a personal one, but a personal essay really is your story. Nobody can deny it. Nobody can say, fact check it. Nobody can say this isn't accurate. It's like, I'm cold. Well, how can you say you're cold? Because I know I'm cold. It's my story.
So then, what do you, let me figure out how to word this question. That's another reason why I edit.
Yeah, but that's great. I think that kind of conversational tone is what would make me listen to this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me think of how to phrase this question. Yeah, because you're being real. And we're so starved for real.
Well, then I'm not going to edit this part out because I normally would.
But I'll edit you not editing.
All right. So, note to self, leave it in.
Sure.
Um, I guess the direction my brain was going in is there's a certain thing that happens when you sit down to write. And you kind of alluded to this a little bit ago. There's like a surprising nature to it. It's like you can reread something that you wrote and be like, holy shit, did I write that?
Yes, that's exactly right.
How do you explain that?
I think, I mean, this is going to sound woo-woo, but I really don't think you're alone when you're writing. I think once you make the commitment to sit down, I think you are now opening yourself up to whoever wants to come in and help you. I used to call the reference desk at the library when I lived in Connecticut, when I needed the name of a river, and I wanted it to begin with an L, and I wanted it to be three syllables. And I would call, and you would literally call me back 3 days later, and now you can just Google. But I think, or someone would call me on the phone and go, we were just in Laos and we went to the La River. And I would go, oh my God, how does that happen? I think partially being willing to put your butt on the chair, you're already halfway there, and you will get a delivery system. And you're also channeling, you're just opening yourself up. You're a conduit now, and you're clear, you're a flute. And you've just said, come on in. So I don't know how it works, but I do know it
It
works.
is a mystery, isn't it? I mean, when I look back on some of my pieces that I've written in the past, I'm like, I don't remember writing that. It's the weirdest thing.
You
Yeah.
know, exactly before we got on the Zoom call, I said, oh, she's going to ask me questions about the book. I better read some of it. And I started reading, and it's really, some of it, what I read was really good. And I don't know where that came from. I don't remember writing it. So it's exactly what you're saying.
Exactly. Yeah, it's kind of like, well, check me out.
I'm better than I thought. And then there are moments when, oh my God, I let that go.
And then that speaks to how painful we can make the process for ourselves. It like thinking that we have to get it right or have to get it perfect.
There has to be a trust. I happen to be very easy on myself, and I'm in a writing group, which is great because they will not always say, "Oh my God, that was fabulous." They'll say, "I think you have two pieces in here." In fact, I have a funny story. When I first got married, I called my husband at work. He was an engineer at Pratt and Whitney, a big, huge firm company. And I said, "Can I read you something?" And he was like, okay, because he was busy and he wasn't a boss. And I would read him the piece. I remember this one time I read him the piece, and he goes, "I think you have two pieces in there." And I said, "Fuck you, you don't know anything about writing." And I hung up, and I had pieces in there. So I'm pretty easy on myself. I love just pouring it out, and I have learned how to be a little tougher and work a little harder. But in the old days, I would just write something and say, "That's it,
Wow,
it's
I
done."
thought I was the only one who did that. I'm serious.
Ah!
Yeah, yeah,
See, we have a
that's
lot.
wild because I'm usually like, all right, I think I'm good here. That's There's something about just the process of getting it out.
Yep. And also, I mean, maybe we do have a gift of that first time with just a couple of changes, I don't have to anguish over this stuff. There are people that do, and that's another style. It's not wrong to work. But what I say to the people that take the workshop is don't squeeze the joy out of it. You're working so hard that you've just squeezed the life out of it. Just let it be, read it, read out loud, read your stuff out loud. That's probably the biggest clue I can give anybody in the writing game is to read your stuff out loud because you'll hear what's wrong. You'll hear what's perfect. You'll hear what needs another ly or another.
Yeah, there's a cadence,
beat.
a rhythm that I'm looking for when I'm writing and then also reading what I wrote.
Exactly.
And if it's not there, then I have to go back. And
We have the same style.
that's weird, huh? I thought,
It's
again, we were talking about our ADHD brains before we started recording. And I thought that
Yeah.
I was just anomalous in that way, but apparently not.
Probably that's if we have instead of being the opposite.
I imagine then that means that there are other people, possibly someone who might be listening right now, who's like, oh, me too. That's great.
Good. Take away that guilt. Enjoy yourself when you're writing.
Yeah, it should be enjoyable. And you've written a really inviting book for people who want to explore, well, I guess explore themselves, really.
Yep.
Which is getting back to what you were saying before. The whole point of writing a personal essay is to get to know yourself better and to heal, especially things that are sort of brewing inside of you that you may not be completely in touch
Yes.
with.
Exactly. I sometimes say at the end of the workshop, I could call this workshop Writing to Heal, but nobody would come. But that's what they wouldn't. I mean, it's like a lot of certainly guys wouldn't come.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's true, probably. Yeah. Not to use stereotypes, but
Heal.
there's a reason why stereotypes are stereotypes, right?
Yeah, right, right. Anyway, you were heading to a question, and I
Well,
interrupted.
it's more around, it was the observation of how inviting your book is. And I highly encourage people to pick up a copy of your book because of how vital it is to have a relationship with yourself in this way. And writing is a great tool to be able to do that. And I'm guessing you would suggest that everyone is a writer, whether they want to be a writer or not, but everyone can do it.
Definitely, definitely. I mean, people got screwed in school, and then in their nuclear family, somebody told them, "You're dangling participles. You didn't use subjunctive, whatever it is. You can't write," and it ruined a lot of people. And a lot of people say, "I can't write," but yeah, you can. I mean, you can talk, you can write, and I'm sorry that happened to so many people. But when people come to the workshop, they say, I'll say, you're reclaiming your voice that got taken away somewhere down the line. So it's really about voice and being able to say, I'm not worried about what you're going to think about me.
Which is a superpower, right? To be able to get to that point. It is very
You have to
hard.
say every single day what other people think of me is none of my business. That's one of my favorite things.
I love that. That's great. It should be a bumper sticker or a
Yeah,
t-shirt or
probably
something.
is somewhere.
And I'm thinking that that could actually be a really good prompt for a personal essay is something along the lines of when I was told I was not writing
Yeah,
correctly,
that.
or when I was criticized or something like that in
In the
general.
prompts, it's really good to have it so narrowed down that it's not so huge. Like when Mr. Stefanian said, keep your day job, and everybody laughed in class, da 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 da, whatever. The more specific the prompt can be, the easier it is. Because I watch, and as soon as I give the prompt, people go right into writing it. You don't ever see someone sitting there trying to think. And I think school, when they had us write, they were just so open. My summer vacation.
I mean, that's another secret. Maybe that's secret 7A is a very specific prompt to help. Because now that I'm thinking about all the prompts you have in your book, they are very specific and there's not a lot of room to get caught in how should I answer
Yeah,
this?
exactly. I mean, I think the reason I'm getting really good feedback on the book and the reason I'm thrilled with it is because, I put mostly other people's essays in there, and they're different, and the voices are different. And I think that's the invitation for the reader to say, ooh, I mean, that's what Holden Caulfield did for me. When I heard him, I don't know how old I was when I read it, but it was, oh, you can sound like that. You don't have to be prithee, why so pale, fond lover, prithee, why you don't have to be Shakespeare. You can write as a person. So that's one of the things it's a permission to sound like you, to have your language, your rhythms, your story, and not think you have to be smart or sound a certain way. It's your voice, and that's gold.
I love that. So, do you encourage people to publish, or do you just encourage people to write for the sake of writing?
I often, I start out by saying this is not about publishing, this is about process. But sometimes someone will read something and I'll go, I know this is against my rules, but you have to send that. You have to send that for Father's Day. You have to get that into your local paper. Please send it immediately. And I shouldn't do that because everybody else is sitting there. Why didn't she say it to me? But it really isn't about publishing. It really, I mean, people do. I get a lot of books from people and great notes and thank yous, but no, I don't want it to ever be about anything but writing to get the story out of your body and to find out who you are.
Beautiful.
What's the
So,
first thing I ever wrote?
do you remember the first thing you ever wrote?
Yeah, because in my family, they didn't let us buy Hallmark cards. They made us make our own cards. What a gift when I think back. How did they even come up with that? Probably because we didn't have any money. But I have a sister named Margie and I have no brother. And I think I was 7 and I made a card for my mother and it said, Happy birthday to mom from Margie and Nancy and Tom and Tom. My mother took it and she looked at it and she looked at me and she said, Oh, honey, this is wonderful, but who's Tom? And I do remember rolling my eyes and saying, oh, it rhymes with mom. And she was so phenomenal. I mean, she could have nipped the little writer in the bud, but instead she lit up and went, oh, like, what's wrong with me? How did I not realize it? Oh, wonderful. And that kind of early validation, which really I want every single kid to get. I know it just moved me forward. And then in 4th grade, so maybe I was 8 or 9. What's 4th grade? 8.
9, I think,
The
yeah.
teacher said, the math teacher passed out paper and said, very first day, and said, I'd like to know each and every one of you write something to me about yourself. And the next day she read mine out loud. And I know, I had written, I am very, very tall. All my friends are very small. Whenever you look, I always show, gee, I wish my friends would grow.
That's
I had two early, really big shoves that said, keep going. And I just want every kid to have that. But I did it with my kids, and you can't just give someone self-esteem. That has to be earned. And I mean, we want to talk about brain. Do you have kids?
no, I don't. Not,
You have
I
kids?
didn't have in this lifetime, no.
Yeah, you probably had 12 last time and you're exhausted. Anyway, that was just one of my wrongest things because I wanted everybody to have what I had, that early, you're amazing, genius type thing. It was very important. So it's kind of what I do in the workshop. I also say at the end, I don't teach writing, I teach gushing. And I think that we're such a withholding culture. I just want people to say, oh my God, your hair is gorgeous. By the way, Wendy, your hair is gorgeous.
Thank you.
And I want standing in line in the bank behind somebody and tap her on the shoulder and say, whatever you're wearing, it's unbelievable. Never stop wearing it. Is it the shampoo? Is it your can't we just tell everybody every minute something good so that they can exhale? Anyway.
That was probably one of the most poignant memories I have in my childhood was a writing assignment in class. I think I was in 5th grade, and I don't remember what the assignment was, but I remember I wrote it was like a novella, like a 4-page novella, and it had a beginning, a middle, and an end. So it had an arc to it, and it was called Adventures in Egypt, and it was a little bit of
What?
fiction that I wrote. I
Wow.
turned it in, and my grandmother, Olga, this was a Catholic school. My grandmother, Olga, was the music teacher, and for the record, no one liked her.
Jeez.
But I was told that in the faculty lounge at lunch that my teacher read my story to the faculty.
I have chill bumps. Wow. But the teacher didn't tell you.
Olga told
But
me
the
later.
teacher that you,
I think the teacher was very, I mean, she didn't tell me that she read it to the faculty, but she told me that I should write.
oh, great.
And
And
that seed got
for
planted
you,
in my head. Yeah. So my dream to be a rock star, I started sharing that with my dream to be a writer kicked in at that moment too. So it was like I had
I
those two
wanted to be a
dreams.
rock star too. I
Yeah.
applied for Bennington when they had you could do the thing at home. Oh, Goucher. No, not Goucher. It begins with a G and it's Vermont. Goddard.
Goddard?
So Goddard, when I was a housewife and I had 2 kids and I was miserable and I was doing nothing and I had a sick kid, everything about my life was horrible. And I read that Goddard would let you get your degree from home and you just had to write an application and you could do major in anything. And I wrote that I wanted to be a rock and roll star. Needless to say, I don't even know if they wrote back to me or
Yeah,
maybe
I was just gonna say, how'd that go? Yeah. So you
I'm,
could almost be anything.
singing in the shower still.
Well, that's another great creative expression is
Yeah.
singing. It
But
really is.
but if we both wanted to be rock stars, I mean, it was just think in terms of the freedom that it gave you, that you could be wild on stage, you'd get the attention, you'd get to sing, traveling with guys. I mean, everything about it was so attractive. Poor.
And now I sing, I'm the vocal side prop for burlesque shows.
Wow, that's great. That's great. So you get to do it.
Yeah, yeah, I found a way many years later, and that's because my friends are very generous with me and kind. But anyway, I want to get back to your book. I keep derailing the conversation.
Oh, I
So
do.
the vulnerability piece is so huge, right? I mean, you reference that a lot in your book. I'd love to talk about it a little bit right now because I think that's probably one of the biggest obstacles for folks. Even for just private writing, it can be really hard to be that kind of vulnerable, but extra hard if you're going to share your pieces with someone else.
I think you just nailed probably the most important part about writing a personal narrative. When, I start the workshop and I tell everybody that I had been in a mean-spirited writing group, which is the truth. And it was the first group I had ever been in. And, they responded to everybody's writing and they'd been meeting for years. And I was invited later after they'd been together, these 14 women. And they would respond like, Harriet, I felt that your characters were really rather one-dimensional. I mean, I couldn't relate to them. And they were just horrible. And when it was my turn, I thought, well, I'm new. They're not going to do it to me. And they did do it to me. And
Oh
I shut down after that. And when I started my own workshop, the very first time I ever did it, the same thing happened. People criticized each other. They tore each other apart. I saw shoulders go up. I saw faces get constricted. I saw writing get generic. It was just unbelievable what happened. And I had never facilitated a group before. I had taught college English. I had taught high school English, but I had never done anything like this before. And I was failing and miserable, very unhappy. 10 Tuesday nights, it was over. I declared I'm never doing that again. I'm not good at that. I can't believe I let people, destroy each other. And you know how you have like a little wise person in your stomach who speaks up to your brain? I had a little wise person and
man.
he said, no, you're going to do it again, but you're going to do it right. What do you mean, right? You'll do it. You'll do it right. So I put another ad in and people came. And I said, I've only done this once and I failed miserably. But I learned something, and that is that creativity requires safety. You will be safe here. I have one rule, and that is when you finish reading, we will tell you what we loved. And people just aren't used to that. They're used to being criticized. They're used to be told, they're being told by the boss, by the husband, by the uncle, by the eighth grade teacher, what's wrong. And this is such a first and is such, it's just unbelievable what happens. And then, and then I tell a lot of my own stories right in the beginning. And I am very lucky because my parents did lousy jobs about everything, almost everything, but they were really good about that vulnerability piece where you could show that you had a broken heart, that you could cry in front of people, that you could be real. And so I really set the tone, and I know that that's what happens is they're seeing me sitting there laughing and crying within the same sentence, and I'm not going into an institution to have it fixed. So when they see that and they hear that, and then the first person writes the truth, a really tough, truthful piece, and we respond, and everybody's shocked that you could actually say, wow, that was brilliant. You just wrote about incest and you're not ashamed. And we're not telling you that you're a bad person, and we don't want to hear that kind of stuff. It just, it happens like dominoes. Everybody is completely waiting to be able to be real and be nude. And it is naked. It
Yeah.
is naked you could be. And it turns out that naked, everybody's quite beautiful.
What a gift to give people that openness. I mean, the criticism piece is just devastating.
Not
And
everybody.
I can get on another soapbox about that, especially my experiences with the publishing industry
Oh,
uh,
yeah.
haven't been great. It's soul crushing
Yes, that's exactly the
when
perfect.
someone critiques your writing because it's coming from such a deep, intimate, personal
Right.
place.
It's the most you of you. You're really, it's you.
It should be. I mean, but
Yeah.
I certainly have read things that I don't see the author in the pieces. I see a
Oh, and that's
formula.
what's happened. It's like writing is so clever and beautiful phrases and great word combinations and so well done and craft, but no soul. No, who, I don't care. I don't care about this person. I want to be crying with you. I want to be laughing to the point of running to the bathroom with you.
And what's amazing is that the essays that you've included in here, and there are a lot, and I mean, these people are not professional writers, right?
Exactly. That's the whole point is that everybody can do this. These aren't even the best ones. There are some of the best ones, but they're all the best ones. It
They're
just
amazing. I mean, they are really high quality writing, and your writing is amazing too. I mean,
I
that's
didn't let them
just,
change anything, by the way. Unfortunately, we screwed up on a couple. There's one, Taffy McCarthy's, where she starts out with a much better first line, and I don't know how I let us change it, the first line, first two lines, but it's still killing me. But the next edition will have the original lines. But I've said when they sent me these essays, don't change anything. I want them to know you wrote this in 15 minutes in class or at night for the assignment. So that's what's so astounding is that these are just so well done.
and they're so vulnerable.
Yep.
That's the one that you wrote. What is it called? Mission
Which
Possible?
one was that?
That was the one
Oh, well,
about
right,
your husband wanting to
yeah.
open things up in your marriage.
Oh my God. I didn't even remember that I wrote that. And the editor, who was wonderful, calls me and she says, you need something for, I forgot what category it was, what secret it was. And she said, what about the one that you wrote about your open marriage? And I said, what, what open marriage story? She said, oh, you sent it years ago. And she sent it to me and I read it and I loved it without even thinking how completely naked. But luckily, I don't have anybody that's going to say, we're not inviting you to dinner anymore.
Well, you wouldn't want to go to their house for
That's
dinner
right. If they don't want,
anyway.
I don't want
So,
to go.
like, yeah. I mean, but s- yeah, again, we can be so silly. But I loved that you included that particular essay because it was so completely naked. And so it is an invitation. Well, if Nancy can do it, then I can do it. Not necessarily the open marriage piece, but just the writing about something that's so totally naked.
Honest.
And I can't imagine therapeutically how that worked for
I
you.
can't remember, but I'm thrilled that I wrote it, and I'm still in touch with the guy. We are on a Wordle chain.
That's adorable.
I know.
Because that was a while ago, yeah?
Oh, 19, let's see, we got married in 67. And my husband I got to show you what he just did. This is the cutest. First of all, you have to meet Wendy. This is Joel. Joel, say hi to Wendy.
Hi, Wendy.
Oh, hey, I didn't know you were right there. Hello,
Yeah,
sir.
Yeah, I am a sir. 83.
Yeah, 83 yesterday. Wait, yesterday?
Happy birthday to you. Wow.
So this is what he did. Give me this,
Oh,
because you
boy.
spelled it wrong.
I spelled it wrong.
Yeah, that's all right. I got to
Yeah.
show her. I got to show her. It's so adorable. Can you read?
Poly
Polyamorous. It's because,
polyamor. Oh, okay. I was like, I couldn't figure out how to pronounce what he had
well,
written.
polyamorous has become, I mean, we called it an open marriage because it was 1974. But now it's really a big, I think I just set the trend. What can I tell you? No,
Yeah.
she did it before me. And we heard later in life that my mother did too.
Oh, no kidding. So it runs in the family. All right.
In the cells.
Yeah. I mean,
No, no.
so okay. So we were talking about vulnerability and the importance of when you allow yourself to be that kind of vulnerable on the page,
Yep.
then it's a permission slip probably that translates in your everyday life
You know
too.
what? You just nailed another really huge piece of wisdom. My sister said to me when we were really young, I was really young. I was probably in 7th grade. And she said, tell your girlfriends everything. Then they'll tell you everything. And then you've got a solid, intimate friendship. If they use it against you and you're betrayed, then you'll know about that person, but you won't ever change. Don't ever not tell somebody close to you the truth, because that will deepen the friendship and you will have a friend for life. What amazing advice.
That's great advice. And it's really what we all long
I
for. I
did.
mean, it's what we would call in the psych world emotional intimacy.
Exactly. And without it, then you have a surface relationship. Hi, how are you? Oh, great. We had such a good time Thursday. And
Right.
who has time for that now? I don't. I don't. I want the gut stuff.
I agree.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
you do.
Um,
You already know.
what well, what else? I mean, otherwise, what's the point? We could talk about where we're at as a culture and the disconnect that we have. And
Exactly.
referencing the social media thing, it's like the illusion of connection, but it's not real
And that's why
connection.
we can have war. And that's why we can destroy each other the way we are right now, is because people are not connected. The disconnect is huge. And the illusion of connection is
Hmm.
unbelievable.
But if you peel all those things away, those surface level things, we are pretty much
Same.
we are all the same. Yeah, I mean, it sounds so cliched, but it's
We
it's
all just
it's
want to
true.
be, we
Yeah.
all just want to be heard. We all just want to be held. We all want to be, we just want to be safe to be who we are. I know, peeling away, but some people have huge cement over their hearts.
Yeah, it's very sad. I mean, and a lot of folks do for good reason because they've been hurt so many times or they've had tremendous trauma. And the thought of taking the walls down is just so frightening that they can't
No,
imagine it.
they're survivors. Listen, we're all survivors. And, that's why the workshop is just so stunning for me, that I see people who have never told anybody what they then sit there and write about and sob and walk away feeling like a truck has just been lifted off their shoulders and hearts.
Yeah, imagine that. You're carrying a
Yeah.
truck around,
And people are.
and then you don't realize you're carrying it until it's gone.
That's right. That's it. You're such a
Yeah.
wise girl.
Am I?
Yeah.
Wow, it's all a facade.
No, it's not, Wendella.
Wendella. I haven't, somebody called me that a long time ago.
Well,
And
I'm
yeah,
I'm Olga, only Jewish.
a Jewish Olga. You'd have to have the green tongue to be Olga. But she
Ah.
had like, red hair and green eyes and
Oh.
very Norwegian and always sucked on clarets. And so her tongue was always green.
Oh
So
my
when she
God.
would scream at the students, you would see this green
Oh my
tongue
God.
contrasting the pale complexion and the red hair. She
Oh,
was,
what a great description. And did everyone know she was your grandmother?
oh yeah, come up and give Granny a hug at
Oh,
the end of our class. And then after she just screamed at everybody and was slamming her hand on the
oh
top of the
my,
piano.
wow.
Oh, good
Character.
Lord.
Gave,
Anyway,
gave you a,
yeah. You are teaching workshops.
yeah.
We've referenced them. How do you do the workshops? Are they in person? Are they online?
Oh, they're in person. I did Zoom when we had those few years of COVID, but and I've done them and they're good. They work. I break them into groups and they go into rooms together. And actually some of those rooms have stayed connected. They write to me and say, we're still meeting. The original 7 people, we're still meeting online. Thank you very much. And I love that that's happening, but I like to be in person. So I go to Kripalu, and how do I do it? So I start out by telling my horrible story of what happened to me in that mean-spirited thing. And then I give a prompt that is so universal and so everybody has had this happen. Everybody writes it. And then we read out, I tell them the rule. When somebody finishes reading, we tell them what you don't have to comment. And then immediately, I mean, by the first morning, people have already fallen in love with each other. It's so beautiful to watch. It happens every time. And by the end, so it's usually 4 days. Here on the Vineyard, it's 4 mornings. People come down on a Sunday night. It's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 9 to noon. And they just end up, they don't know what they do for jobs, but they know everything else. It's just stunning, just the most beautiful. If I had ever thought, what would you like to be when you grow up, other than a rock star and a movie star and all the other fantasies I had? This combines everything that I love doing. I get to be like a stand-up comic, only sitting down, which is even better because you can rest. And I get to watch people at their absolute highest selves, being kinder than ever, loving, supportive, cheerleading for each other, no competition. And then I watch them get better and better. I watch them, their writing improve, and I watch their honesty get deeper. And then on Thursday, nobody wants to leave the yard, including me, even though I live here.
I get it. I haven't even been there and I don't want to leave.
You're coming. I'm going to get you.
I would love that.
Good. All right. We'll pick a.
And for the folks who are listening, Nancy's in Martha's Vineyard and Kripalu is Western Massachusetts.
And also Omega in Rhinebeck.
Oh, okay.
Going
Yep.
up Apollo in February. I don't know when you air this, but February.
It'll probably be after February is my
I'll be at
guess.
Omega
Yeah.
in Rhinebeck, and then the Vineyard is there's one in each month. One in May, one in June, one in July, one in August, one in September, one in October. That's it.
Okay, so in the summer into the fall.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, so how would people find out about your
So
schedule?
it's Chilmark Writing Workshop, and Chilmark is CHILMARK, chilmarkwritingworkshop.com. And by the time this airs, I'll have the schedule up on my website. I'm doing it right now. I'm just figuring out. I have to look and see what holidays. I keep screwing up and doing it Passover and some other holiday. It has to be in my calendar. I'm the only one still that is using a paper calendar. I know I am.
I have one.
Oh, good girl. There you go. So
And guess what? I also don't have a cell phone. So
Really?
I'm a Luddite. Yeah.
Wow. I call myself,
I know.
but I live in my phone. So how do you, so you have a landline and that's it?
I have a voice IP, so voice internet phone here at the wellness center and at the house. We don't have cell service at our house anyway, but you're not alone with the paper calendar. And then I just thought I'd throw the cell phone thing in there too, because it's kind of in the same category.
Chilmark Writing Workshop, and it's four mornings. And that's the story, 9 to noon. And people come on Sunday night. It's very expensive to stay, find a place to stay. The workshop is very expensive, but if you're broke, you just tell me that and we figure something out. I don't need the whole money.
All right. Well, this has been super crazy fun. I am really
For me,
thankful that you came on and chatted with me.
I know we're gonna meet. I'm gonna give you the workshop as a gift, so we're gonna meet because
Oh
you're
my
gonna
God,
come
that's
here.
amazing.
So we just have to figure out when, so we'll do that and make sure Heidi knows that we connected.
Okay, I'll tell her. There's a shout out to Heidi in the podcast
You're
right now.
fabulous. You are just really, you put people at ease. You're just easy. And no, that's not a nice thing to say to you, that you're easy.
It's okay, I'll take it.
In the 50s, easy was not the implication isn't good. You're accessible and your heart's huge. And I loved it.
Oh, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Right back at ya. Man, she's fun, isn't she? And how cute is her husband? Don't you just want to hang out with her and chat and write and then chat some more? Well, if you would like to do just that, you can sign up for one of her workshops at chilmarkwritingworkshop.com. A link is in the show notes. I so appreciate that you took the time to listen to this episode. The podcast world has changed pretty dramatically since I started in 2018. Small podcasts like mine get lost in the mire of zillions of podcast options, so the fact that you found this one is amazing and I'm thrilled. I've been hearing from more and more listeners that they heard about Lucid Cafe because a friend let them know about it, which is the absolute best compliment you can get, really. So thank you for spreading the word. It really, 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 really means a lot, truly. I'll be back with another inspiring episode inviting you to reclaim your feminine power. Until next time.